Welcome to the Turd Nerds. We are the functional gastroenterology podcast discussing all things poop. Before we take the plunge into today's episode, let us tell you a bit about ourselves. I'm Dr. Rebecca Sand, a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist, and I specialize in all things gastroenterology, hormones, and fertility.
I'm Dr. Kapadia, and I'm a medical doctor trained in family medicine and functional medicine with a special interest in gastrointestinal health, food and environmental allergies, and autoimmune disease.
And I'm Dr. Ilana Gurevich, a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist who is board certified in naturopathic gastroenterology. I specialize in inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, and other functional digestive disorders. Let's jump into today's episode.
The following discussion is for educational purposes only and not intended to diagnose or treat any diseases or conditions. Please consult your doctor before incorporating any of this information into your care. The information presented on this podcast is not medical advice.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Turd Nerds. We are back from our very well-deserved fall break.
That is true.
We took a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. We did our own thing. And all we did is percolate what new episodes we're going to bring to you. And in this percolation process, I realized that the one conversation that I have with patients every single day, 15 times a day, is about diet. And I have a strong opinion about what kind of diet works for patients in different situations. And I also am very, very clear that there is no one-size-fits-all diet.
Yes.
And so I brought this to my turds, and we were basically like, we need a diet series. And I know we've touched diet here and touched diet there, but what I want us to do is we're three clinicians that are working with patients on a daily basis. Let's just talk about how we talk to our patients about diet. And this is going to be a series.
Yep. Welcome to the diet series, the official diet series of the Turd Nerds.
Sponsored by the Turd Nerds.
For us now. Yes, that's true. Well, what I'd like to talk about, just kind of general overview, is how we approach diet. And then maybe we'll get into some of the details on different types of diets, when we use them and how, which is why this will be a series. But when you're approaching diet conversations with a patient, where do you start?
I start personally with where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say, if there was a one-size-fits-all diet, we would not have a nutrition industry. Mm-hmm. We would not be clinicians, and everybody who went on that perfect one-size-fits-all diet would be cured.
Yep.
And that is not what I see.
No. People try all sorts of things that claim on the internet they're going to fix all their problems, they're going to lose weight, they're going to poop like a champ, and it doesn't work for everyone. Like, we all know that.
And sometimes they try a diet and it works amazingly, but it's unsustainable.
Totally.
Or it stops working after a while.
Yeah. Low FODMAP, I think, is a really good one that we can get some really good traction.
Good one to talk about that fits into that category as opposed to a really good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Both,
I'm with you.
Both, but it's restrictive and hard, and I personally don't think it's sustainable. If we can expand people's diets, it's really important to do that for quality of life, for microbiome, for all of it.
I'm just going to throw out there, working with very different populations over the years, the starting point for diet can change. And so I just wanted to remind everyone to ask, before you get into all the weeds, ask about alcohol and sugary drinks.
Yeah.
Oh,
because I've had some crazy stories with people. I'm just going to throw this out there because I couldn't even believe that it was true. But I had a patient a while back who had sort of this new onset neuropathy. They had gotten some sort of chemo radiation treatment a while back, and they thought it was from that. I realize this is a bit of a divergence, but
no, it's good.
They tried all sorts of things for this neuropathy he got, and nothing was working. And then he came back and he was like, my neuropathy's gone. Like 99.9%. I was like, what did you do? And they were like, we don't really know. And I was like, well, you must have done something. Like, what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
And then they told me that they cut out soda. And I was like, how much soda were you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
A 6-pack of Coke a day. And I didn't even ask.
Oh my gosh, my eyeballs would pop out of my face.
But how is that? What is the mechanism of neuropathy? I don't know exactly, because they didn't have inflammation, obviously, of the nerves. But there was no diabetes. There wasn't any obvious reason for
no insulin resistance.
Right. There was no insulin resistance, no hyperglycemia, no diabetes. I mean, I wasn't checking on a continuous glucose monitor, so there probably was. Yeah. But there wasn't a red flag diabetes type of history. So I'm just throwing
that's a lot of caffeine.
That's a lot of caffeine.
So maybe that was part of it. Yeah. But I just would, in a person with neuropathy, I wouldn't have thought to ask about soda consumption.
So one of the things that I do every visit with every patient is I do a diet diary, right? But I ask them to tell me what they ate yesterday.
Yeah.
What did you eat all day yesterday?
Every visit?
Every visit. Actually, that is one of the consistent things that I do. I'm not going to say every visit, but I'm going to say 90% of the time, I want a recall.
Yep.
And they're always like, oh, they are.
Most people can't remember.
Lots of people can't remember, but most people, and I'm not going to say most people, a lot of people will say, oh, yesterday was a weird day.
Exactly.
Yesterday was a weird day.
It's always a weird day.
It's always a weird day.
Yep.
As somebody who's doing this with 15 or 16 patients
Yeah.
every day, I know it's always a weird day.
Because we all feel bad about what we ate yesterday.
Exactly.
And
Which sheds light into what we're doing. Yeah. One thing, though, before I dive into diet on any topic with people is I ask them about their relationship with food.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well,
'Cause that's a big conversation.
Exactly. So I think it's sort of like a screening for disordered eating, you know, approaching that if we need to go there so we can protect those folks if we need to. But also that is like underpinning their food choices, what they're doing throughout the day. So if they just put it out there like, yeah, I emotionally eat every night, great. Let's talk about that. You know, how can we support that?
Doesn't?
Well,
I don't think I emotionally eat at night.
I
When
definitely
you're stressed?
have.
I eat the week before my period.
Oh,
I can't turn it off. But like,
I'm stressed, I overeat.
Yeah.
you overeat, you don't over caffeinate or over chocolateinate? Do you over chocolateinate?
I'll just I think I'll just eat stuff. If I've had a really stressful day,
It's soothing.
yeah, it's very. I think it. You know,
But like
releases various
occasionally it is a
neurotransmitters.
coping mechanism.
daily is
We
not
don't
a
need to
good idea.
demonize
Yeah,
it, but if it's
definitely.
every night it's your only coping mechanism to handle the stress of a day, let's unpack that.
Right.
We're going to get way better traction addressing that than just like shaming people for like, oh, you eat a bag of potato chips every night.
It's true. We need to find other ways
Yep.
to. And I'll also say, I mean, my overeating would be like oatmeal in the night.
Okay.
So it's
Okay, so here's my question. So we're talking, let's talk
chocolate
Flax
and nuts and chocolate,
little
but
ham.
I'm not hungry. I'm just eating it.
So, okay,
I
so
consider it emotional
Get
eating.
out of here. Get
let's
outta here.
actually take this down a line because there's like, in this world that we live in today, in the modern world, we've got like what we used to consider the garbage snacks, like Doritos or
Potato chips.
Ultra
potato chips, right?
processed foods.
But now we have these really interesting, I'm going to put it in quotes, healthy snacks
Right.
that are crunchy and salty, but they're like baked green beans or
Totally.
like baked, like where do we
the
put
chicken
that?
Cassava. They're all
Yeah.
cassava.
What do we
Yeah.
think about that? I mean, honestly, I'm asking, what do you guys
I
think
mean,
about that?
First of all, it's pretty much all my toddler eats.
Well, I also think so. There's these ones, the ones I picked up yesterday. They're like my sister-in-law gave them to us on a trip, so I got. They're like air popped popcorn chip kind of things.
Oh,
So in
I
the
don't like
world of
those.
junky foods, I mean, they're not fried. You need something to munch on.
What was the oil in it though?
But it's a small amount, Rebecca.
Yeah, but it was palm, wasn't it?
No, it's sunflower.
Sunflower.
It's not good, but it's not like a
Okay.
it's not like a deep fried. So I
Yep.
mean, I feel like there's ranges. They're still not good. They're
Yeah.
processed foods.
I
It's
think
better if you eat real food. But,
Exactly.
I mean, most of us need some snacks.
for sure.
Unless I'm on vacation in Hawaii, I have less snack issues.
So
But most of the time I need some snacks.
I think a lot of it kind of comes back. What I tell my patients, if there is a generic diet that we can apply, it's food as close to how it came out of the earth as possible, which is
Right.
that whole Michael Pollan
for the
thing.
majority of your food.
For the majority of your food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we going to say that this healthy air popped corn, which, they basically the
Not a
natives,
plastic bag.
food. It is not a
the natives have been popping popcorn for like a very long time.
Yep.
What are we going to say? Okay, if you need something, this is what you should grab. Like, are we going to are we going to educate patients onto making healthier choices?
I mean,
It's
nuts would
risk
be-
reduction.
it's risk reduction.
harm
Yeah.
reduction measure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everything sort of comes down to that.
Yeah.
It's like you do the best you can as often as you can.
Yeah, I mean, nuts and like fruit would be a better option, but it just doesn't do it sometimes.
So one of the things that I did over our
Mhm.
break,
Agreed.
one of the things that I did over our break is I wrote my next big talk that I think I'm going to take on the road.
Are you going to tell us what it is?
I have been wanting to write this talk forever.
Do you have a
it's-
tour bus?
I
Should we decorate
Can we
it?
be your groupies?
oh my God, I would
We're going
love
to
to
that
have you
tour.
guys as my groupies.
Send us your autographs.
That sounds amazing. It's a mitochondria and the GI talk.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
I've been wanting to write this talk forever because I had some patients who I had stalled out on, tried all the things, and then I went after their mitochondria and I got movement on their bloating and their chronic
We gave
constipation
them
and
the horse
fatigue.
pills.
I've now, because of the talk that I just wrote, I just dove in.
Okay.
Like I'm now so beyond the horse pills. Like
Okay,
now
so you don't have to give the horse pills anymore?
I mean, the horse pills are a fast,
Oh.
easy. Yeah. I mean, they are horse pills, but they really have everything in there and they usually work sometimes.
if you have a small neck
Yeah.
like some of us, you
Yeah.
might choke on them. But I mean,
How bad is the bloating?
But so one of the things that I dove into is how fats affect mitochondria, right? And this is good fats like like avocado
Nuts.
oil or olive oil, nuts,
coconut oil,
wild caught fish,
What
all of
about
that.
butter?
So it depends on where you land. We should dive into that.
It's my
But the
favorite food.
other thing,
butter.
I love butter.
I mean,
I
yes,
really love
I mean,
butter.
I do too.
yes,
It's
there's no way
delicious.
not to.
Yeah.
The other thing that I dove into is I dove into what are the polyunsaturated fatty acids doing? Like, what is the canola oil doing? What is the sunflower oil doing? Grapeseed oil. Like, what are those?
No, those are not.
Why? Do you guys know why they're not good?
Because of the processing and the chemical extraction during the high temperature
So,
solvent extraction process.
Nice.
what happens to that process in the body?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I mean, I would think oxidation.
Keep
Free
talking.
radicals.
Okay, keep talking.
Inflammation.
So you are absolutely right. So you are absolutely right. That is exactly why we are
Full
looking
disclosure,
to
I had
avoid.
to review an article recently on this topic.
Just own it. Just own it. You
Also, full disclosure, Dr. Kapadia has an incredible brain that
That's
she
true.
does not give herself credit for. It's
Very
an
true.
amazing thing.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that comes out of her brain is incredible, but she's like, no, I'm not sure. But I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, you're generally right. So yes, you're absolutely right. What happens is it all goes back to that phospholipid bilayer, right?
Heard
So
of that.
every cell, especially your mitochondria, which is the cell that I happen to be obsessed with at the moment, has this phospholipid bilayer. Those phospholipids, the quality of the fats matter. And at least for mitochondrial function, a more healthy saturated fat, like a butter or a coconut
Yes.
oil, which absolutely has its own risks as well, but a more healthy saturated fat, those tails of the phospholipid bilayer are very, very stable and very resistant to the free radicals. That's the natural byproduct of the electron transport chain and making energy, right?
So I can have butter is what I'm hearing.
As much as you want.
Yes.
That's organic, grass-fed, grass-finished.
This is
And
making my day.
Nice organic goat butter.
Ooh.
They sell in our
No,
fancy-
French
No.
butter from Brittany
Oh,
has
okay.
it has sea salt flakes like the size of dimes that just like when you open the
sounds
package, it and marbling of
this
the
is very
fats in the
sexual
butter.
right now.
It is
truly.
truly. I'll let you guys try just a little bit. I don't share this butter often, but
Can I give you money to bring it back from France?
I'll upcharge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fair. It's an import. I'm playing the import fee. But what happens when you're eating all of those polyunsaturated fatty oils are the tails of that phospholipid bilayer are like really, really crooked, right? And then the free radicals, which are the things that you need to make the mitochondria function, they are just getting destroyed. So now the mitochondrial cell is inflamed with a bunch of you have thousands of mitochondrial organelles per cell. Now the cell's getting inflamed. Now the body's getting inflamed.
Because the radicals are getting accumulated.
Because the mitochondria is not holding those free radicals within the envelope is burning.
Got it.
You are eating flammable fats. That's what's important to educate, because I knew it was bad. Like I knew the oxidation, I knew the processing, blah, blah,
So
blah.
seed oils. That's why
Seed oils. So omega-6s. The omega-6 is omega-9.
Is a little bit okay, is a small amount. I mean, I remember one of our colleagues said like one of his patients just did not get better until he fully, like that was the key, was to fully remove these oils, you know? And I've had patients that have told me they were super sensitive to these oils. Like every time they ate out, it was the oils.
Exactly.
You know?
I have patients like that too.
I do think that the answer to that question is the spectrum of disease.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, are they generally, vibrant people with a lot of energy?
It's their like already inflammatory load. How much more can we add to the bucket before it tips and people start to have symptoms?
And then the other side of that, which unfortunately with diet always has to be our conversation, is the other side of that is how much is restricting these oils or restricting these foods going to give you an eating disorder with a ton of mental, emotional stress, because the hormone production from that stress response is also going to be inflammatory.
Cortisol. Yeah.
Right.
So again, risk reduction. Like it's not that eating any of these is bad. Like it is, but it's part of daily life, at least in this country and for most of us. It's just like, it's going to come in contact with us for the most part. How do we reduce that? Or modify other things in our diet that can decrease inflammation?
I mean, yes. Or even meal spacing.
Yeah.
Like that's a way to decrease inflammation.
For most bodies.
Yeah, not for everybody.
Yep.
But that is a very, very effective, actually well-researched tool.
People feel so much better.
Some
when
people
you don't snack.
Yep.
Yeah. Unless you're pregnant, postpartum, not a good idea. Graze like a cow. Graze like a cow. Very important. You'll feel better. But
I don't know how you guys finish your charts without emotionally eating. in the evenings.
When I'm stressed, my stomach closes up.
Yeah.
I have the opposite response.
I'm actually with you.
Yeah, that changed when I was turned like 33.
I feel like also when I'm stressed, I shut down and then I start pooping. Like, but too much.
Oh,
I'm
like
the opposite there.
You stop pooping.
I just start making diamonds.
Yeah.
So like,
it's
diamond factory.
It's, and I do think a bunch of bodies have a bunch of different responses.
Yes, but the gut is so impacted by stress, which is why we're here.
Well, and I think it's well accepted that at this point that meal spacing and not eating continuously throughout the day is a better way to go for your.
Let's also dive into that. Why? Why is meal spacing important?
Migrating motor complex.
Give us the history.
Well, like what it is.
Yes, and why we care.
Your body has this innate cleaning mechanism called the migrating motor complex that gets turned on when you haven't been eating for about 2 hours. And it sends this fluid wave that runs for what, two and a half hours?
I say 60 to 90 minutes. It takes 60 to 90 minutes to start and it takes 60 to 90 minutes to run.
Yeah. So full cycle, you want a couple hours between meals to let this thing clean itself out. It will get turned off. Whole thing will get stalled if you have 10 calories or more.
Oh, I never knew that number. That's a magic number.
It's usually like cream in your coffee.
Yeah.
So black coffee, and just don't do the sweeteners, please. People.
Do you do black coffee?
Yeah. I put collagen in my coffee.
Wait. So
count?
Probably.
So here's my other question.
But I have it with my breakfast.
Oh, so you're not having it separate?
No.
And this is not when we're going to dive into a keto diet. Well, we will, we're going to parlay that in a different episode.
Keto diet makes people so depressed.
Okay, wait. I'm not. No, we're not doing it.
Okay, yeah.
We're not doing it. I'm putting my foot.
I want to know more about.
We're
the
going to do it.
Connection.
Okay, so, but here's the thing.
I'm not on it, but I'm concerned now.
With a keto diet, what is happening is it is mimicking a fasting state.
Yep.
So how does the keto diet mimic fasting, but it also shuts down the migrating motor complex? Or just both of those things are not the same? Do you have an answer for you?
Shut down the migrating motor complex?
I mean, you just said anything that's over 10 calories.
Yeah, because you're eating calories.
Wow.
Okay, so you're right. So I guess
So it's fasting in the sense of glucose going to the brain. Your body has to, because the brain only eats glucose.
Right.
So you have to convert. So it mimics that aspect of fasting, but you're not fasting your colon.
Got it. No, that's a great, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I just always but it's completely different things.
Yeah. Your colon's still being asked to do quite a bit if you're only eating fat and protein.
So what I tell patients about meal spacing, which I do think, by the way, if there are there's a few hard pressed rules that I have with diets, and one of them is don't snack. Unless you're in that category where you need a lot of extra calories. Yep. I do not recommend snacking. I think snacking was created by the food industry to take up more stomach space. Yep. And I think all of these airy, fluffy snacks, that are like air popped and all that, take up even more stomach space because you just keep you never feel full.
Yeah, and then you belch.
Right. So one of my rules absolutely is meal spacing. That's like a non-negotiable for me.
Yep.
And that is literally because of the migrating motor complex.
Yeah. People feel so much better when they can bring that on board. I mean, it's what we were sort of designed to do. We were not supposed to be grazing all the time. We're not cows unless we're pregnant. But,
And even then, we're not cows. We just feel like them.
Yeah. That's true.
So I think instead of drinking chai all morning with nut milk in it, I need to switch to your green tea and water.
You know what? I have a good question, though.
Because then I won't shut down my MMC.
I mean, I think
if I'm going to sip on it for a few hours. This always brings us the diet. It's very confusing. No, but I'm talking specifically about meal spacing.
But in your Indian culture,
they didn't sip it all morning.
They didn't.
I think they drank it.
This is my thought on that. I think it's okay to do the meal spacing between lunch and dinner. And I've had people do it between breakfast and lunch and dinner, and asked everyone, like, if you did that, did you notice any bigger difference? And where the money was at least one a day between lunch and dinner. Breakfast, you should be getting most of your calories in early in the day. So if you like wake and eat, not like constantly eating, but like, drinking your chai throughout the day, or like have breakfast at 9 and lunch at 11, like something like that. I'm cool with that. But having a big chunk later in the day does seem to confer a lot of those benefits of meal spacing.
Like having a 3, 4, 5 hour
4 to 5
between lunch and dinner. Probably.
Exactly. Yep. 4 to 5. And that encourages people also to bulk up on their lunch.
Yeah.
So that maybe you're not just eating dinner for like hours and, eating way more than your body needs to go to sleep.
In Chinese medicine, we have the Chinese medicine clock, right? And 7 to 9 is stomach time. That's when you should have your biggest meal. 1 to 3 is small intestine time.
Wait, 7 to 9? No. Because in Ayurvedic medicine, it's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You should have your biggest meal.
I think it's lung 3 to 5, large intestine 5 to 7, stomach 7 to 9.
So small intestine is
1 to 2, 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Okay, so similar to Ayurvedic medicine, 10 to 2. Right?
Stomach is 7 to 9. Yeah, look, I was right, guys.
Okay, but that's not when you necessarily are eating your biggest meal.
Can we just stop and can we just
There we go.
put a shout out to me who remember the Chinese medicine clock from 20 years ago?
Stomach is 7 to 9 a.m.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean
And
your
then
biggest meal.
That is so in Chinese medicine, you should be having your largest meal. You should eat like a king, breakfast like a king,
Yep.
From
lunch
7 to 9 a.m.?
lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. That was what I was always taught.
Yep. I
Okay,
remember.
that's similar to Ayurveda, but they recommend the biggest meal between 10 and 2. Because who wants to eat a massive meal between 7 and 9?
So that's so okay. So when I first started practice, this is
I
practice.
have butter. Maybe with some toast.
So when I started practice, I used to tell everybody 20 grams of protein for breakfast,
Yeah,
eat
that
your
works.
biggest meal. And 20 grams of protein for breakfast is incredible for stabilizing blood sugar.
Yep.
It also is super incredible for actually making good choices for the rest of the day.
Totally.
If you don't start your day with something sweety or carby, then you are not going to be looking for it all day long.
Yep.
I've noticed that when I start with dark chocolate and coffee, it doesn't go as well.
Can
But
you
it is
tolerate
good.
coffee?
I drink coffee and chai now.
Coffee
know
doesn't make
what?
you
Dark
crazy?
chocolate.
A
I
chocolate
mean, I don't know.
croissant
You tell me.
with coffee, little espresso, chocolate croissant.
Okay, but your coffee is a
dreams are made
bitter,
of-
bitter
Yeah,
espresso.
yeah, I don't put anything in it.
Yeah, it's not a sweet, like people are drinking their
Oh, yeah,
coffee
no,
drink is a
thank you.
milkshake.
For
I put
validating that
things
terrible
in it.
breakfast.
Yeah.
Because it is one of my joys in life.
I do think there is a thing though with the bitter
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah. I can't do sweet, like any carby breakfast and sweet coffee. That's like dessert.
Yes.
I need the bitter to like
Yeah.
feel like a human after that.
So they have actually done a clinical trial with adolescents looking at basically what I'm going to call their food hygiene. What happens if they eat a traditional American carby breakfast versus a high protein breakfast? And the answer is they will eat significantly less refined carbohydrates and make better
If you start
choices
with-
as the day goes on.
Wow. So what are your top protein picks for breakfast? Eggs?
So if you can eat eggs,
Yep.
eggs.
Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt's a good one because it's high
Yeah,
protein.
totally.
If I can get a whole milk Greek yogurt,
Totally.
Or
Yeah,
I get
the
a
fat-free
full
gross.
fat sheep's milk yogurt.
Ooh,
Is it
yeah.
the
You have
Bulgarian
to
one?
live in an unusual place like us to
Yeah.
access these
It's
foods, I
so
guess.
good. That's a
I
little
don't
tart.
know if it's Bulgarian.
No, I
Rebecca.
think the Bulgarian one is the cow one.
Okay, but it is
glass
a full fat
bottle.
and it has more protein than the cow milk one.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Okay, so
I
then
love yogurt.
if let's say you're a vegan.
Yep.
One of the things that I have fallen in love with, which unfortunately would kill Ummi,
Oh,
is a
God.
chickpea, like chickpea brownies, chickpea blondies,
But that's not real food still.
I disagree.
They do weird things to
It's
it to
ground
make
No,
it.
chickpea
I'm making
flour?
it.
Oh, you make it?
Yes.
Oh, gross.
I make it like
For anyone who doesn't know, I have chickpea anaphylaxis. That's why I find
okay,
it
and
gross.
I will also say Ummi says gross, but anybody else says, oh my God, this is so effing delicious. So my chickpea brownie recipe, it's not. Because I soak it.
Right.
You can also sprout it if you want.
Yeah,
So basically what I do is
That's a lot of work.
overnight, I put it in the Instant Pot
Yep.
with water and then I put a timer on. I soak it for 12 hours, have the Instant Pot pressure cook it for 45 minutes,
Yep.
right? So then I have chickpeas. I take that chickpea, nut butter, I put nut butter in there, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of maple syrup, some fat like butter or coconut oil, blend it up. And then if I want to make it a dessert, I'll add some chocolate chips. Or if I don't want to make it any sweeter, I won't. And I bake that for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
But it
Where'd
is
you get this recipe?
have you heard of the internet?
What can I use besides chickpeas?
Tell me
Any
more.
bean.
Black beans?
White bean. I would not do black beans.
Can't do
I
white
would
beans.
uh
Can't do black?
you could do
mung
black.
beans?
You could do mung beans. I've never done
Oh,
it with
mung
those.
beans sounds good. Ooh, that sounds great.
There's also so many different like heirloom beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just looking for one that has like a little bit more of a nutty consistency.
Yeah.
But that is because it's been soaked and maybe even sprouted, and because it's been pressure cooked for that long, that cell wall does not induce gas. But so let's say you're a vegan and you need a high protein option.
Taking
you can't
notes.
tolerate eggs.
To the yogurt or eggs.
It's a little labor intensive,
It's
but,
not- but
I'll eat yours.
I will also say that's what I'm having a day where I'm killing it today. That's what I brought with my breakfast. Was I made chickpea brownies yesterday. I didn't bring it in the house mainly because of Ummi, but
Do your kids eat it?
they love it.
Yeah.
My little one, my Dovey, is like, oh my God, we have chickpea brownies for dessert.
Wow.
It's like 30 grams of protein per serving.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty good.
It's incredible.
Okay, what about tempeh?
I mean, if you like
I
it.
love tempeh.
Tofu scramble.
Fry-
Tempeh, I don't know how to make.
Oh, you
What?
slice it and
Okay.
you can bake it or whatever, but I like to fry it in a cast iron with coconut oil.
Ooh.
It's so good.
It's like a savory.
Thin
With
little
herbs?
strips.
Plain tempeh or the flavored one?
I
What do
don't
you
get
buy?
the flavored one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the plain, but you can cube it. You can crumble it up and put it in
Can
sauces.
you eat it raw, or do you always have to cook it?
I think that'd be too gassy.
When I think about tempeh, I think about like tempeh bacon.
Sure.
Is that how you're using it?
No. I roast it. I cook it in a pan, like any kind of way you would do meat.
Huh.
Our roommate Paul, who cooks for us, he'll often like substitute blocks of tempeh for like chicken in recipes and stuff. Nothing against chicken. He just does that sometimes. So I love tempeh.
Okay.
There's a lot of tofu, but I should.
I
maybe try
love
the tempeh.
tofu. Too.
I also love tofu. Also, chicken,
Yep, chicken,
beef, like turkey, fish. That is a really good breakfast.
Totally.
Like, I mean, all of these things are really good replacements. There was one of our naturopathic elders, Lori Sewell. She wrote a book forever ago, which was basically high protein breakfasts. Like that was the whole book. I think you can still buy it on her website.
Wow.
And it was high protein breakfast. And it was like, another thing that really you could use is you could use a smoothie option.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
I can't digest smoothies.
I can't either.
I'm not a fan,
But some
people like them.
Some people do great on it, especially if it's a high protein smoothie.
Again, pregnancy smoothies
Right.
are great, but beyond that, it's too cold.
Yeah, for me too.
I just can't.
But now
What
that's
about,
my
like,
daughter's
protein
doing.
drinks.
So
Like protein shakes.
the trick with something that's quote unquote a protein shake is it's so carby or sweet.
No. Well, now they're all sweetened with monk fruit and stevia.
I still think that if you start your day with sweet, you're going to be looking for sweet, in my experience.
Yeah, it's totally
It's
true.
true.
That's my experience.
They also protein powders taste so gross.
Not all of them. There's a really good whey protein that apparently tastes amazing.
Whey
The
protein,
Terrace whey,
Totally.
everyone says tastes amazing.
whey protein is the perfect
Totally.
protein.
If
It
you
is
can digest it.
if you can digest
Yep.
it. But I also have, one of my girlfriends, if she has any whey in a drink, she literally needs to lay down for a 3-hour nap.
Oh.
She can't digest it. Now she doesn't
Is she
get
allergic
gassy.
to it?
She thinks she must be.
I mean, it's probably a dairy allergy.
She tolerates dairy just fine.
Weird.
There's something about the whey protein isolate.
Because it's processed.
Yeah.
I don't think the Terra's whey is. I think, well, I don't know for sure, but I feel like
I'm
it's
gonna
like the
try it.
least processed. Everyone says it's amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
I also collagen peptides, both marine collagen peptides or beef
Yeah.
collagen peptides. That's a
Totally.
great way to sneak it in.
Yep.
I'll usually do like, if I'm going to make a smoothie, or when my daughter, now she's having smoothies for breakfast, for better or worse. I will make her have a pea protein, collagen peptides, and a nut butter in there.
Nice. Good work.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Solid parenting.
If
Well,
if
we'll see
I
how long it
ever have
lasts.
to move in on, I'm gonna have to get. There's gonna need to be some sort of treatment for anaphylaxis.
For
I
your-
won't be able
yeah.
to live in your
Yeah,
house.
no, that's
Just so
really
you guys
true.
know, everybody's backup plan is to live in my basement because everybody lives in my
I see it in your
basement.
basement. Yeah. My child is eating hamburger buns for breakfast today, so
It's very,
winning.
that's very American of her.
Hamburger buns.
She just had half a hamburger bun
Oh.
with butter because she also loves
We
butter
used to
like
eat
I do.
that Wonder Bread.
It's
Yeah,
the
that's
same
better.
thing.
Is it the same?
It's the same.
The same-
Can I just tell a quick story about that? My kids went over to my best friend's house and she like did a she did a tea party with them, like a British tea party. And they made a bunch of little sandwiches and treats. And from then on, my daughter would come home and she goes, "Mama, can I have the cake bread? Can I have the cake bread?"
Oh,
Because we
jeez.
eat Ezekiel bread at my
Yeah.
house.
It's just like cardboard.
I was like, "The what?" And Midland was like, "It's just regular bread." Like, I don't know what she's saying, cake bread. It's just regular
It's
bread.
not far off. It's kind of like cake. Very similar.
Okay, any other rock hard rules that we have with patients about diet? Meal spacing, as close to nature as possible.
I will say on the protein topic, I have had a number of very like chronic fatigue people, especially women, that I've gotten to eat like 100 grams of protein a day. Fatigue went away.
That's
It's
the
like
thing.
a totally secret weapon that
It
people
just seems
don't
like
think
so
about.
much. I
It
mean, they
is.
say
It
that. That's a
is.
lot of protein.
But if people are exhausted all the time
Yeah.
and not getting through the day, I tell them, give me 2 weeks, try it. And if it doesn't do a thing, go back to
Yeah.
how you were. But wow, it's like a home run for people.
How are they getting in 100 grams? Are they doing a protein shake? You kind of
It's
have
really
to,
hard
right?
to do vegetarian, but like I'm just like, whatever, get it in, see if it feels good, then we'll optimize it from there. But like I have
It's worth a
vegetarian,
shot.
I have a handout that's like vegetarian protein sources, and then meat obviously is a winner.
I think
if you can do
tempeh
it.
and tofu too. You can get quite
Pretty
a bit.
good.
And if you're gonna eat chicken or fish or whatever, you can get a pretty good chunk in one meal.
Yep. Add collagen 1 or 2 times a day. There are ways.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're the best ways to do it. Like, so I tried, I've been watching all the data about the importance of basically protein for building muscle.
Yep.
And I am of the age where I'm like, if I'm going to build muscle, I have this decade to do it.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And
And
we're done.
well, and then it's a lot
It's
harder.
depressing.
It becomes a lot harder.
Oh, I lost.
I'm already in trouble.
It was
my grip strength is going down.
I never had any grip strength to start with.
Too.
Really?
It's because of computers, yeah.
I
carpal
don't know,
tunnel.
Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
It's
with
not
that.
good, but go ahead.
I tracked my proteins. I was like becoming obsessed with
How
it.
much was it?
It was hard for me to get over 80 grams.
Yeah.
And that was me really working hard.
Do you mean?
Yes.
I know, but it's like such a large quantity of food.
It's a large quantity of
The problem that I
food.
see is people get constipated.
Yes.
That's what I have to work with because they don't eat as much fiber.
Yes.
So you really have to kind of, unless people are eating a lot throughout the day, you really have to like plan which I'm not, keto I don't think is great for a lot of folks long term.
I can't wait till then when we get into this on our next episode.
Yep. There are definite pros, but I think we do need some whole grains, most of us, to poop regular. And we do need
beans.
Fiber. Yep.
And or beans.
That's a high carb.
But whole grains too. So I'm saying whole grains and beans for that.
Yeah.
Soluble and insoluble fibers and veggies. So, you can eat protein all day and maybe your energy will be better, but you're never going to poop.
That's not good.
Yeah. So that's
okay. So just quick recap. What is up down?
Did you feel any better with higher protein? You already have so much. You're already bouncing off the wall.
I did. It totally helped me.
Yeah. But it's hard to maintain, or you still do it?
I just feel better on the days I can do it. Yeah, it really helped. It fixed a lot of things.
That's how I am. God, with sleep.
Yeah.
When I sleep.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, for sure.
No, like if I have a day of good sleep, I could
the world.
I could rule the world.
I know. I'm right there with you.
Everybody would be eating organic.
Yep. I know.
Okay, so quick little recap for our consistency.
Okay, so we want to start the day with protein. Try to avoid sweets in the morning.
Yep.
If you're going to ideally get meal spacing between lunch and dinner, especially 4 to 5 hours if you can. So maybe cut out the constant snacking, especially of weird air popped corn
things
products
from a
and
package.
such.
Yeah. Unless they're delicious, then, sometimes.
Then you got to.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
If you do emotionally eat, good for. I'm just saying. Just kidding.
Join the club.
Unpack it. Try to unpack it, or at least recognize it that it's a potential problem. Yeah. And then protein could be a factor for a lot of people. We didn't talk a ton about fiber, but we did talk some about how
we'll
we
get
need
there.
Whole grains and or legumes.
Not everyone,
but
a
lot of people to have good digestion.
There are wrong ways to do it too.
And then Michael Pollan said it best.
Yep.
Eat real food.
Mostly plants, not too much.
Yep. And the closer to the version that came out of the planet is better than the more we put it in a package and pulverize it and bleach it and all of that, for sure. Less foreign to the body.
Okay. Great first introduction to diet.
Lovely to be back, Turd Nerds. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned. We release episodes every 2 weeks.
If you like this episode, please subscribe and don't forget to rate and review us to help spread the Turd Nerd word.